Good evening, everyone. I know we have a small group tonight, but we don't want to delay you in your evening, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Julie Weaver, and I'm the Executive Director at the Maryland Council on Economic Education. We are the coordinators of the Maryland Personal Finance Challenge Competition, and we are really excited to be here tonight to help you understand more about how the competition works and how to form and coach teams at your high schools. I'm so excited that I have two state champion teachers with me here tonight. I have Mike Martin, who was a multiple-time champion from Lansdowne High School. And then I have our reigning 2020 Personal Finance Challenge champion, Julius Przylski from Mount St. Joe High School. And Julius and his team went on to nationals and did very well there also. So I'm very excited to have them with us tonight to give you firsthand experience into what it's like and how to really impact the kids with this wonderful program. I'm going to start tonight by just sharing a few slides with you that go over how the program works, and then I'm going to work with both Julius and Mike to go through sort of their impressions and their tips and tricks on how to make this a great experience with your students. Slideshow up. Here we go. Hopefully you can all see that.
Sounds good.
Great. Okay, so the Personal Finance Challenge program is a national program that provides high school students the opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge and apply personal finance concepts in a fun, exciting competition against other schools. At the state level, they're competing against other schools from around the state. At the national level, they're competing against teams that are coming from every state in the country. I believe last year they had 18,000 students participate in the national competition. So it's a very fun and exciting program for the kids. How it works, there are 4 students on a team. Each high school can field 2 teams to the state competition. You can start with more teams and then decide which 2 you'd like to send to the state competition, but we can take 2 teams per high school. And you start now and the preparation begins, and then we have a big one-day competition event, usually in April. In a non-COVID year, we bring the students together in one location, somewhere in the Baltimore, Washington area normally, where they participate in the first round, which is written tests. And then the top scoring teams from the written test will go on to the big, exciting live question and answer event on the stage where they use buzzers just like on TV to answer questions in person, head to head. It's a very exciting program. Teachers usually coach the teams, but you can also include other co-coaches from your parents or from the business community as well. Just to give you an idea of how the timeline works, typically this time of the year, people are starting to think about teams and starting to talk it up with their students to see who might be interested in participating. And then as you get closer to the winter, you really start preparing. And Mike and Julius are going to talk a lot more about the preparation process. In January, you need to narrow down the teams that you're sending to the state competition and register those teams with us at the Maryland Council on Economic Education. And then in April is the state event, and in May is the national event for the state winner to participate in. Everybody likes prizes, and prizes can be a huge motivator. Our state winning teams win pretty valuable cash prizes, as you can see. Plus the teacher is awarded as well. But I think Julius and Mike could probably tell you that the bragging rights, not only among the students, but among the teachers who get to know each other through many years of participating in this program, is a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah.
At the national level, you can see the prizes are even larger and pretty exciting for the kids. So I know my kids are motivated by money. And so in addition to just the fun of competing, there are some great things that they can take home with them as well. The national competition is a little bit different than the state competition. It will be held this year virtually. We already know that. What's different about the national competition is that the final round is actually a critical thinking case study and presentation round. That's not something that we have at the state level, but I'm sure Julius can tell you a little bit more about that as his team participated in the final round last year. And another exciting thing about this program is that it typically receives national media coverage at the national level. I think everyone who's participated in this program in the past will tell you that the students love it. They are on fire for the competition, and along the way, they get a lot of knowledge that will really change their lives in terms of participating in retirement plans and making good decisions about college and career. It is really a life-changing event for the kids. When you're looking at preparing, we'll get into this a little bit more in detail later, but this gives you an idea of what topics they're actually tested on. As you can see, it's spending, it's saving, it's money management, but it's also current events. So students need to discuss during their team meetings what's happening in the world, because that is something that can be applied in questions during the competition. We will provide you with a manual that will help you go through the preparation process, as well as practice tests that you can use with your students. And again, we encourage you to include a discussion of current events in your team meetings. We also encourage you and your students to participate in the stock market game as you are preparing for this program. And we can tell you a little bit more about that both tonight and in a future conversation. But participating in the stock market game time and time again has been very helpful to students as they prepare to compete in the National Personal Finance Challenge program. Okay, coming back to our discussion tonight, sorry, had a little bit of a blip there in technology. I wanted now to really go through and let Mike and Julius tell you a lot about their experiences leading teams. So Mike and Julius, what motivated you to get interested in the Personal Finance Challenge program?
All right, well, I'll take that first and then Julius can follow it up. But I can tell you that the competition, I believe, started in 2008 on the state level through the council. I didn't know anything about it at all. In 2009, I got an email, just like a lot of folks do each year, and it was intriguing to me. And I said, well, this is cool, a competition. What's this all about? And I got my team together, didn't really know a whole lot of what I was doing at the time. I mean, I teach finance stuff, so I knew that. But as far as the competition, we practiced a little bit, went over to Towson, did the competition, and we actually took second place that year. So it was really exciting. And from there, it was the #1 thing that I would do every single year. To me, it was almost like having an observation or something. That's the way I kind of graded myself as far as teaching during the year. And because it happens at the end of the year in the spring, you know, it's something you build for. And like you said, we go through, we pick the teams, we train them, we do different things. And we just, the kids, as you said, absolutely love this competition. It's wonderful when it's in person, and hopefully that can happen again this year. It's a great day, great event. The council does a wonderful job putting it on. It's not hard to prepare for this. I mean, it takes work, but if you're organized in the different topics, and it's a lot of fun, and the kids really got into that. So for me, it started early, and it's just something I did every single year, all the way up through, you know, last spring. And we've done really well with it. I'm very competitive. I wanted the kids to be into it like the real world. Julius, you might want to pick up from there.
So at Mount St. Joe, we had an elective course when it first started. I guess I saw it 5 years ago, same way, through an email. And I guess it kind of motivated me, like, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing a good job? Do we know as much as other kids know in other schools? And so we applied. I found some kids. We came up, and I met Mike and some other teachers, and it was kind of competitive. And we're all like, okay, how do you guys study? And, then the kids came home, I remember on the bus, like, we can do this next year. We just got to study more. We just got to get into it earlier. We should be able to win this. And when they saw the money, they're like, okay, we really want to do this. Now, we didn't win it until, I guess it was the 5th or 6th year, which was last year. And you just don't know, but I think it's just the kids kind of had a lot of fun, and it was kind of motivational to see how smart they are, if they think they know, some of the questions. And you'll see as we go that the questions, some of them are luck of the draw. You don't know what you're going to get. So you may study everything and find stuff that you didn't cover. So.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I
You have
think
more to
that's
say,
right.
Mike? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with everything Julie's saying, and we study, we practice things, and we can probably get into that in a little bit too, as to how to do it, because it can be a little overwhelming for somebody who's kind of interested, maybe some new teachers, but it's not. I mean, it's something that I think could be done very well, and these kids love it. At our school, we have a lot of kids, as you well know, who come from very poor neighborhoods, and Lansdowne, we're the lowest economic part of the county, the highest crime rate in the county, unfortunately. But the kids that I get are so into it, and I stay in contact with so many of them after they've graduated. They're doing wonderful things, and every one of them is using this in their real lives. I've had kids from El Salvador at our school, other places. They're just doing fantastic stuff now. So it can be done on any level. And if you just have some kids that are excited and interested, who pay for their own car insurance, things like that, they're going to love doing this.
Awesome. So about now is when the process to start forming teams begins. How do you both go about forming teams with your students?
Good question. I think at the beginning of the year, when we're all getting out of the gate as teachers, you're trying to get everything lined up and do your normal stuff. You just kind of get a feel for people in the school building. And myself, like Julie's, I would teach some personal finance classes, but at the same time, I had other courses that I was working on. And you just kind of have a feel. I mean, it's like a coach with a baseball team or anything else. You see a kid in the building, he's 6'3", hey, do you play basketball? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. So you kind of get a feel for some kids. And once you get that, then you kind of, like you said, just kind of put that off to the side. In the fall, I don't do a whole lot with the team aspect until late fall, like you were saying, maybe turn of the year. I start to get them together more, and we can go into that. So at the beginning, it's just kind of scouting it out. You're only talking 8 kids. 2 teams of 4. You could do other teams, like you said, and scale it down. I would do that a little bit. I might start with 10, 12 kids, and then some would not want to do it, and I could see that. That's fine. But I tell them, it's like you're going out for a team. I don't care if it's baseball in the spring, basketball. You're going out for a team, kind of a little bit of an aspect. And then we kind of go from there. Julius, what do you think?
Yeah, so the way I did it was I just picked out 8 kids from my class who I thought kind of liked business, liked finance, and would have fun competing. And some of the kids were pretty smart kids. And then I remember I kind of shifted and kind of looked at the AP kids in my school, even if they didn't take me. And I grabbed a couple of those guys. But what I found out is if they didn't really take the course, they might know the terminology, but when they get those tough questions, they've never really had it to apply it, and they might not be able to answer it. So I kind of stay with the kids who've taken the course. And now at St. Joe, it's going to go it's mandatory this year. So eventually I can pick almost anybody. I've never had an issue because, our kids are spread pretty thin over a lot of different sectors. And so, not every kid can do it. It depends, how much you're doing. But, once I got those 8 kids, we started forming it about now. And then I would start in November with the teams. And we met like once every other week. And like you said, I think when December, January comes, we started locking down once a week. But the internet's going to change things now. So I guess we can Zoom maybe on a Sunday night would be a little easier for everybody, to meet all together instead of having to kind of figure, okay, do you guys have a period free during the day or after school?
I'd like to add something on that. Well, I know in Baltimore County, the mandatory course that's in there, I think it's a little watered down, but it's economic and public issues, EPI course that all the seniors have to take at least. And, you can go reach into there and get some kids if you have that same thing. And I know every jurisdiction is probably different, Howard County, PG, for what they require. So certainly you could start with that. Those kids that are taking juniors or seniors. I don't really focus on freshmen a whole lot or anything like that. I may have some kids who show some interest. I had one kid a couple years ago who was a freshman. He did his freshman year, his sophomore year, his junior year, and he graduated early. Now he's in the Air Force, and he was awesome. I mean, he was good as a freshman, but that's very unusual. So again, kind of the junior senior group, I think, because these kids are the ones that are going to be doing the car insurance for themselves, and they're going to be really have that interest for some of these kinds of things, working jobs, saving money, maybe paying bills at home. So you can kind of, weed it out that way.
Yeah, I would add to that because I kind of thought about that idea that you don't want to load up on all seniors, even though they might be a little better for the test. I think because then the next year you got to start all over again. So when you have some juniors sprinkled in there, I think it's a little easier because those guys kind of know how it goes. They know what you're going to do, and they can kind of feed the other guys into the system. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because I believe the same thing. Juniors and seniors are really the focus. Obviously, seniors, if they've gone through the whole thing, may have a little bit of an edge of just having had experience in classroom, real life, and so forth. Also, if they were on the team the year before as a junior, it's like they make it. They really want to come back, like Julius was saying earlier. So I think that's a good focus. I've made a few mistakes along the way. I had a couple kids that I put on what I have Bulls and Bears, and the Bulls is my A team, my Bears is really my B team. And I've missed a few that were on the Bulls and probably shouldn't have been on the, that kind of a thing. So it's a little bit of a crapshoot, like, Julius was saying with that. We do some practice testing. We'll get into some of that later if you want. Mm-hmm. But you get a gut feeling. You can pick 8 kids out pretty good that are interested in it. You tell them the prizes. They love money. They like competition. They like a really, really cool day, at this site, wherever it may be. It's just first class all the way. So.
Awesome. So now's the time for you really to reveal all your secrets. How do you prepare your teams? You both are championship teachers. So how have you taught these kids the information they need to know to win the competition?
Pixie dust.
There you go. That's a good one.
Well,
no, I tell you, what I started out of several years ago is the council's always provided some kind of a source manual or whatever. They've streamlined it. They're actually working on a new version this year, which I think will probably be even better. What I've done is I've called my own playbook, essentially, is what I call it. And on the cover has a quote on it from Herb Brooks, who, hockey gold medal team from 1980. And if you've ever seen Miracle, the movie, it's fantastic. So I put that on there for the kids, and they each get a little binder that has my playbook in there, which essentially is things that'll be in this manual. Julius has done his things, and it's essentially a guide broken down by the sections that you're going to see, credit, money management, those different sections. And I just put different terms in there. But it's not just a vocabulary thing. I'll put, we'll explain things about retirement plans or investing. I love investing. I've been doing it myself for almost 50 years. So that's my real bread and butter there. But all these areas are broken down. And then with taking this playbook, which they have and they can use, and they are urged to look at it and so forth, then we start meeting. Like Julia said, once it be late fall, maybe early winter, we'll meet. After school, we were doing it during lunch. A lot of times I had the kids come in and we would go through a topic of the day. Maybe it's car insurance. Maybe it's something else. And then I'd give them a short little quiz, maybe the next time they came in. So we wouldn't spend a lot of time on it every day or anything, but again, with lunch or sometimes after school. And then we just took it topic by topic. And I could get a feel for who knew what. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, I want to say, Mike, I think you actually gave me your playbook when we first started.
Yes.
You were nice enough to do that, which
sure, no
I had nothing, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to have to go from the class I teach. So I took Mike's stuff and started adding to it based on what I thought was important. And then I used the Maryland Council on Economic Education, their little playbook, and kind of went through all the terms and made sure we knew those, which I kind of thought was the basis. And then, like you said, I just built off that. I looked on websites, and I've given this, so you guys are going to hand some of this out. But like I used the Wharton School in Pennsylvania has a site with just economic or personal finance terms. And I would just go through, pick out terms that I thought maybe we didn't do and just go through them and talk about them. But made it real casual for the kids. And then I'd give some tests that I either found online or through different organizations to see where we're at. But there's a lot, so don't think you can cover it all because, you'd have to meet hours upon hours, and I don't think any of the kids or you have that time. So,
Yeah,
um,
I agree. I agree with that. I do a pre-test with my kids too that I created. I use a lot of the sample questions that the council will push out. One of the things I asked the council to do is, and they did a good job last year, was pushing out some good sample questions. It's all multiple choice, and the scoring is straight up if it hasn't changed. 10 points for a right answer and that kind of thing. So I would always use the same format, and I created some of my own questions as well, but you don't have to recreate the wheel here. You really truly don't. I mean, there's a lot of good sources there, discussions, and like I said, you'll get a feel. I mean, if you ask a kid a question, something really basic, like the rule 72 when I teach it investing, and once you understand it, it's real simple. I tell the kids, we have to be 8 for 8 on that. All the kids have to know that. It's simple and easy. If you can't get that, then whoops, there's something there. And then maybe there's some other topics along the same way. So, again, you push out some just sample questions. Discussions are great. Julius is right. There's a lot of areas in here. I mean, you got investing. There's a ton of stuff. Stock market game will really help a lot there. It's fun. It's competitive. And you can get into more of the X's and O's on that. My kids always do it every year. It's kind of cool. I found out that the girls are the better investors in that. It's crazy. They always seem to do better because we form teams of 3 kids on that. And it's like, it's just wonderful. I mean, and they have so many tabs on that website where they can do other things, for research and such like that. So again, it's just kind of how you want to handle it with the kids. And a lot of times they bring up great discussions. Again, buying a car, all these real world things, credit reports. I actually brought in my own credit report and showed it to them. Went through the whole thing, the different things they understand so they get it. Or credit cards, how to use them, how to be careful with them, stuff like that. There's a lot of good information out there for the different topics. But like you said, it's a bit of a guessing game because nobody knows exactly what you're going to get. Julius has been saying that, and he's right on these tests on there.
Yeah. So speaking of the stock market game, for those of you watching who might be unfamiliar with it, the Maryland Council on Economic Education also sponsors the stock market game experience in Maryland. It is a stock market simulation game that goes over 3 months or 6 months, depending on what term you choose. You can play in the fall, you can play in the spring, you can play year long. It's also a competition event, although we try to emphasize learning over competing in that arena. And it gives kids the opportunity to invest $100,000 of virtual cash. A lot of investing strategies are available in the stock market game, including shorting stocks, if that's something that you want to show them, mutual funds, different types of orders. So it's a great experience for kids to get their feet wet in investing. And what I think is really important is learning the language of investing, which can sometimes be a huge barrier, particularly in families where they've never had the opportunity to invest ever before in their life. So if you don't have someone to teach you, it can seem like a very big mountain to climb to start investing on your own. And so we love the stock market game in conjunction with the Personal Finance Challenge as a way to introduce investing to kids in a fun and safe way.
It's great because of the competition aspect. And again, I usually have 3 kids on a team, and I can have as many kids, teams as I want in a classroom. I can have 20, 30 kids and have 3 on a team and do that. They love it. They get together. We spend some time letting them, pick the stocks they want. It's all totally turnkey. It's so easy to use on the site, literally buying and selling, putting in a buy order, a sell order. They show you your portfolio. You don't have to do anything. It's all done automatically once you literally make the decisions, however you want to do it. So I would stress that's hugely important. It's fun. And there are prizes at the end of the year that too, I believe, so.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about the stock market game and you've never been exposed to it before, we're building a library of videos as well about the stock market game, or you can just contact us and we will walk you through how it works and get you ready to introduce it to your children.
One thing I want to mention too, when you're talking about the manual, I just thought of it, and I've used this a lot. There's the website econed.org. That has some fantastic short 5-6 minute little video clips on all kinds of topics. And I would tell my kids to go there on their own a lot. And sometimes they have a little 2 or 3 question quiz at the end. And it'll talk about a topic, whatever it is, car insurance, it could be anything. And they go through these short little videos like, you could find on YouTube or something else, but they're all right there. There's tons of them. And that's another great source too for the studying, which I used a lot.
I'd also say, Julius, when you say that Next Gen Personal Finances website is also a great way to find tips and activities to help the kids learn the topics?
Sure. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff on that site. It's free. They have tests up there. Once you get your account, if you want to use their tests, you can use them, tweak them. There's videos, there's ed puzzles. You just got to be careful you don't get overwhelmed because there's so much out there. You just want to key in as
Right.
the Maryland Council gives you the topics like investments to key in on the main things, and then just kind of build out as you go based on how much time you have. And if it's your first year, have some fun with it. Don't feel pressed.
Totally agree. I think that's a great suggestion. Keep it fun for the kids and yourself, and you'll learn. I mean, from there, how many kids are really into it and how that'll work. But I just feel like it's wonderful. I mean, the whole aspect of competition. And one thing I would say too is that, with all this craziness going on this year with COVID and all, I think virtually could be actually a real plus. I think Julius tapped on it a few minutes ago, like a Sunday night meeting, because you're either in school, maybe hybrid, not, who knows what everybody's gonna be doing. You can always set up some kind of a group, talk to the kids on a Friday night if they're not out, or a Saturday or a Thursday afternoon, whatever works, because if they're working, that's fine. But I'm finding a lot of these kids, they're home. I mean, they're not doing a whole lot if they're not working or school or whatever. So something like this would be easy to connect, as opposed to trying to drag them in a lunch hall or something like that in school.
Plus, with that, Mike, we can record it now and put it up on Google Classroom. And if a kid misses, they go back in, listen to the whole recording, and go, okay, that was the topics they discussed. I got the idea now. And they don't feel so bad that they missed.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a good idea. I agree 100%. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to connect with them now with all the technology. I know I've done that with the kids last year. We spent a fair amount of time just, going over simple things, whatever it was, maybe 20 minutes, at a time, just nothing like every day you got to spend 3 hours. It was nothing like that. And they were all there, and they would show up, and a couple kids that were going to work or whatever, and they'd still chime in and, just, okay, what's going on? And a lot of times I would just say, give us questions. Don't understand a topic. Let's talk about it. And then I found that they had some great discussions on that.
Terrific. So we talked a little bit about how the state competition typically works, but I think it's pretty hard to visualize unless you've been through it. There are a couple of video clips on YouTube where you can see a little bit of the experience of the Personal Finance Challenge. I tried actually to embed them in our presentation, but the sound wasn't working. So I can send those out, and you can also look for them on your own if you'd like to see them yourself and maybe show them to your kids. But I'd love to hear from Mike and Julius, what their impressions are of how does the state competition work, from the time that you arrive to, the excitement of the kids throughout the day.
Well, I'll tell you, when we leave school every time, I would get the bus driver, because we're in Lansdowne, so we were going up to Towson, 40-minute drive, whatever it was. First thing we did is we stopped at Chick-fil-A, and I'd buy them all a Chick-fil-A sandwich or something on the way up. So when we got up there, we go into the facility, which is, again, first class. They have the special room set up the way it's all done with all the tables for the kids, lined up back to back. Nice lunch that you all have put on in the past in a big hall while you all were scoring the first round tests. And we just went up there and we would just kind of see other teams coming in. I was always looking for Julius when he'd get there with his team, because the last 4 or 5 years we've gotten to know him pretty well. And the fellow who works with me, Greg Carpers, knows Julius pretty well too. So, but anyway, we get there, and the kids, it's like wow, they look around, they see kids from the Eastern Shore, they see kids from Montgomery County or wherever it may, Baltimore City or something, private schools, public schools, and it's just neat. But I wanted to make sure my kids knew you belonged, and that was important. No matter how it worked out, you belonged in this thing, and they really they bought into that, and it worked really well. They were pumped to go there.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same thing. Whenever we got in, the kids were all looking around. Pretty diverse group of kids, so that was good. just kind of like focused on taking the test. And, you know, when everybody's done, they come out, you can hear all the kids talking like, what about this? What about that? And, you know, I think I did well, or I didn't get that one question. Did you get it? So, you know, and then the hype to see who made it to the Final Four. And whoever got to the Final Four, then we put them with the buzzer round, and everybody sort of came around, I guess, in a semicircle. So, and that's pretty tough because you're hearing questions, and halfway through, kids are hitting the buzzer, and they're like, dang, they got that one. And you can see, you know, you're looking at your kid, and he's going, how did he know that? It's like, well, they're just a little smarter than we are today. So it's a lot of excitement. It's fun.
Yeah, and getting on stage is a cool thing. Now, obviously, only 4 teams are getting up there. It used to be just 2, but as things have grown, they have 4, which is great. And, you know, if you get up there, we were up there 2 years ago on stage, the most recent time. Julie's was up the same year. I think we were 3rd, 4th, wherever the heck we finished up there. I don't know, but it was fun. It's very competitive. And when they throw the questions at you, it's a lightning round. Dr. Alan Cox from Towson University will throw the questions if he's still doing it, and you buzz in. And you can either buzz in quick, or you can, you know, listen to the whole question. If somebody gets it wrong, then, you know, the other teams like Jeopardy or something get a shot at it. So it's fun. It's fun. And when you get to that round, it's, you know, that's really, that's the goal. I mean, to get up on stage.
So for the 2021 competition, we don't know yet whether we can hold it in person or not. We would like to hold it in person, so we are going to do everything that we can, if it's safe, to try to do something in person with the kids. But the 2020 competition was virtual, and Julius and his championship team did very well in that. So Julius, can you talk a little bit about how the virtual competition went last spring?
Yeah, so we were notified, I think, on like Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to fill out some forms. I had to get a bunch of stuff in, and, you know, you're trying to make sure you fill everything out correctly. And Friday, then they put out, I think, the official that we were in, and everything was a go. So Friday night was a little crazy because we weren't going to go to Nebraska. We were going to do it online virtually. So they kind of gave us the guideline. And they said, we're going to give you a family with their whole financial history. And you have to come up with a financial plan. You have to present it. You have 2 hours to get the plan together. You have to make a PowerPoint, and you have 10 minutes to present and 5 minutes of questions by the judges. So I spent Friday night kind of going through a plan that I got from the Michigan Council that I had seen put out on a website, and said, okay, here's one that they did a couple years ago in Michigan. Let's set up how we go through it. And then tomorrow you guys meet, and then Sunday, you'll come on and present live to me, and we'll see where we need to make some changes. And so Saturday, of course, they're calling me. They're like, come on Zoom. We want to go through this again. We want to make sure we got this right. So we did. So they probably spent like 6 hours Saturday. Sunday, we're on in the morning. And then Sunday night, we hooked up together on Zoom, all of us. And they went through the presentation with me. And I kind of critiqued it, what I thought. And I kind of said, here's where I think they're going to go and try to throw you off. These are the areas you got to address. So I can, you know, whoever gets to that point, I surely can help and show you how we did it and prepared for it ahead of time. I'd be more prepared this year, but it was a little nerve-wracking, I can tell you that, because, you know, it wasn't questions. It was a real plan, and you had to justify why you were going to, like we said, okay, if they had an expensive car, we would sell the car and buy a used. You had to explain why. It wasn't right or wrong, but you had to have reasoning behind it. So now it was more than just memorizing terms. It was understanding personal finance pretty in-depthly. So I think that's where you want kids who can speak well, who aren't afraid to get up, and are pretty confident kids. And I got lucky. Like I said, I had 2 guys in that group that are at the University of Notre Dame this year. So that was a pretty darn good group. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately. I had no idea what was happening. They wouldn't let us watch. And we made it to so there were 39 teams that came in. We made it to the final 14. They didn't tell us how we graded out. And then we were the first to go. I don't know if that was good or bad, but we did not make it to the final 3. We got into the final 14, and then 3 teams had to prepare and go again and do the same presentation to another group of judges. And I can't remember who won it, but it was pretty good. A lot of excitement.
Great, yeah. And as I mentioned, the national competition will be virtual this year. The state competition, we'll let you know probably in January timeframe whether or not it's going to be safe and possible for us to meet in person. But The minute we can do it safely in person again, it's our plan. We're not planning to move to a virtual format forever if we have to in the short term, because we love the ability to bring the kids together and see each other, and for you teachers to get to see each other too, because I feel like you're all probably feeling a little isolated right now, particularly in this virtual world that we live in, that to meet up with your new teacher friends once a year at the challenge and high five each other over your kids is a really exciting thing for you too.
I would say this, Julie, to kind of go off that, is that it's a total different competition in the state the way they did it. I would be willing to help whoever wins it this year to come on with you. When you get the notice, call me. I'll come on and help you set up how to prepare for it, because it definitely helps to have somebody that understands how to get ready for that. Because you basically have Friday night, and this is the way they did it, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And Monday morning at 8 o'clock, they were on live, ready to go, 2 hours. And then they were presenting, I think, right after that at 10:15. So, I would gladly help anybody because I want to see Maryland win. So I don't really care.
That's awesome. And let me chime in here real quick too, because Julius has got all that great, real, recent firsthand experience, and he does a great job. If anybody wants any help, I just retired in July as a teacher. Okay, I was in private sector for about 30 years. I went into teaching at age 50, but now I'm pushing 70. So I just retired. Our program that we had at school is going away, but we have, our kids are still be involved in it. If somebody wants some help along the way, I'd be more than happy to help any of these teachers from this process. And Julius can certainly pick it up on the national level. I've got some good resources too. And again, if they just want to phone or whatever, I'll be happy to help in any way. Any teachers out there.
Terrific. Along those lines, do either of you ever use volunteers from your parent groups or the business community to help you with your teams?
Good question. I have two son-in-laws who are in Boston. My own personal financial advisor from Merrill Lynch, and Kevin does a lot of professional athletes. He's really good, and I've tapped into him for different things. My other son-in-law is a bond fund manager. He went to Harvard, and we've been able to take our kids to Boston the last 10 years for a couple of days, and Steve sets it up so we can go to Harvard to sit in on a class. Steve's a wonderful resource, great bond fund manager. He's the bond expert I talk to. Kevin's the more of the personal financial stock market and so forth that I tap into a lot of his stuff as well. So yeah, I use them in a different way, I guess.
Yeah,
and they're very willing to help. I mean, anybody.
Yeah, and for my teams, I have never used an outside person. I've done it all myself. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I know Maddie Hallbeck. She's from the ARL in Howard County. She uses an outside person, and that's worked very well for her. I guess, it just depends how you want to do it. If you have somebody that's really good in insurance and like to come in for an hour and work with your kids, I think it's great, a different voice. But, if you don't know anybody, you could teach it yourself too.
Yeah, you really can. When we take the kids to Boston, basically we would go to a session with Kevin and a session with Steve. That's what I would do so the kids can see some firsthand stuff. That's how I used them. I would ask questions along the way, but I'm like you, Julius. I would pretty much do it myself. And I know Maddie does have somebody who comes in as a personal financial advisor, I believe. Is pretty much with the kids kind of a lot of the time. So there are resources out there if you want. But again, I'd be happy to help anybody who wants any help, even getting started if they're interested.
Yeah, and if you want help from the business community and you're not sure who to reach out to, we at the Maryland Council can connect you with a resource in your local area too. So just let us know. We're here to help you as well. We want you to be successful. We don't want this to be overwhelming and to stress you out. So if we can help connect you to someone who can lighten the load and partner with you, we are happy to do that for you. And we have plenty of partners that would love to work with you on an ongoing basis.
And I really think this whole process is such a great extension of the classroom. Whatever the teachers here teach, I just think it's such a cool thing, like a club activity, and you take it and run with it from there. But you get so much out of it. You really do. The kids absolutely love this stuff, and they are just like sponges. They want to learn it. So many of the kids that I've taught come from homes where they're going home and teaching their parents. The parents are absolutely telling them they don't have a clue a lot of this stuff. and the kids are going home talking about all kinds of different aspects of these things. So, and then they do it the rest of their lives, which is, I think, really awesome. It's great. The competition's wonderful, but it's really a bigger picture for the rest of their lives.
It's
And it
nice.
starts right there.
It's nice to put the banner up in your room that you guys give for first, second, and third place. The kids always come into my room like, "Who is that? Who won that?" And I, you explain to them like, "Well, can I be on that team?" I said, "Well, we'll have to see, how well you do in the class." So, they like it. Yeah, the kids like it.
That's great. That's great to hear too. Yeah, we didn't mention that we do award banners. We try to get the local press involved. We want to bring as much attention to the good work of these kids as we can. And we're always open to suggestions as well. If there's something that you think would motivate kids, would make them feel recognized, we want to do that for you. So please feel like you have an open door to us, and we're happy to answer questions and help you anytime along the way. Any final thought, gentlemen, on things that you would tell these teachers who are looking at it doing for the first time, what they might try?
No, I think the first thing is just like you said, reaching out and see if you can get some kids that are interested. You'll find kids in there on a high school level. And I guess the next thing is just kind of how do you want to connect with them? And the resources will be there. You can just take it like Julius keeps saying, he's absolutely right. You can make this as much or little as you want, and you can go from there. So absolutely.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Just start slow, 20 minutes, 30 minutes here, dip your toes in a little, have fun with the kids, go up
That's
there.
right.
Nobody tells you how you scored. So you don't walk out thinking, you were the worst in the building. You have no idea. If you didn't get to the top four, the kids are talking, but then there's usually that competitive on the way back. They're like, well, how could we do better? Or what didn't we do well in? And so I think just have fun the first year and kind of start building it up and just let it take off on its own.
That's exactly right. We did it. It was a lot less teams that first year that I was in it. We ended up getting second, and the kids got up on stage, and they were really ready for it. I'm looking around like, hey, what happened? And then it kind of just grew from there. Somebody just popped a question about sharing the playbook. I'm very willing to share mine. The council already has all of my information that I have as the playbook, and they are designing this manual, changing it. And I think it's good because when I was involved in the manual a few years ago, at the beginning, maybe 8, 9 years, it was very overwhelming. There's a lot of links, there's a lot of stuff. It was like, whoa, where do you go? They streamlined it, but they're doing even more now, and that's going to make it really easy to do that. But absolutely, any materials I have, people are willing to have it, they can have it. I've got it here, flash drives, I can send it out if people want it. So that's, you're welcome for that.
Yeah, I added one thing in there. I'm hoping it's still available. A graduate student from Duke built something called ZogoFinance.com. And it was just these little questions and you get pineapples and, it'd be like 8, 9 questions and you get to the next level. My kids started playing that every day on their cell phones. And literally you could play a game in probably 3-4 minutes. And so in a 20-minute setting, we could play 6, 7 games quickly. And it was a lot of the stuff I was seeing on the tests that I would remember. So I don't know if that's still available, but if it is, I tell your kids to start playing that, have fun with it.
There's a lot of different things out there, like the financial football game. It's like Monday Night Football. Kids would do that. Move the ball up and down the field by answering questions, tougher ones or whatever. There's a lot of different, and that's a good source you're talking about. They're fun. The kids love that kind of stuff. Just anything to throw at them, so they just keep getting the knowledge going, and then you go from there. So.
One last thing I forgot to mention, and that's important, is that the program is totally free. So participating in the Personal Finance Challenge does not cost anything. If you are traveling to our event, there may be transportation costs involved, and that's sort of up to you, your school, your parents about how transportation will work. But we don't charge anything for the event and to participate in the event or for any of the materials. We have some very generous sponsors at the Maryland Council on Economic Education, and they cover all of the costs of the event, and we're extremely grateful that they do that for us. So it is something that you do not have to worry about getting an approval to spend money on.
That's very true.
Yeah. Terrific. Does anyone have any other questions that we can answer for you tonight? You can turn your mic on and just go ahead and ask the question.
I'm just going to say hi. It's good to see
Hi.
everybody. I haven't seen Julius in a while. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this. So this is my question. I've got, I always do too much, but I'm jumping on what they call a step up program. And so they do enrichment activities. And one of the things they did this last year is called Adulting 101. And it was actually amazing. They had the, it's with a CTE program. They actually taught the kids like how to change oil and just everything from taxes. It was like a little bit each unit. So I'm the one taking over this year for that at my new school. And I'm really excited for the personal finance portion of it. But that was my thing is I'm putting it out there for both stock market game and personal finance challenge. Have you guys ever done both at once, or do you think I should just let the kids see what they're interested in? But I personally would probably rather do the personal finance challenge.
I always do them both every year.
Both, okay.
The stock market game is such a neat thing that it can be done on its own, and that the kids can actually connect, at home, whatever they need to do, buying and selling. Of course, when you see the stock market game and you get involved, it is so turnkey. I mean, literally, when you want to hit that buy, just like I do for real, put a buy order or sell order in or something. It's that simple. Now, the question is, how much do you want to do for research? I have a kid who last year in the game in my class, because I had them do their own individual portfolios as well. And we used an Excel sheet that I designed with them. And this one kid bought Tesla last year at $220 a share in October. So I just called him a little while ago. He's a senior this year. I said, now what in the world would you have now in that portfolio? Because Tesla just, hit $2,400 and it had a 5-for-1 split. He said $30,000. And it was interesting because he had done his research and bought it low when everybody was running away from it. So, I mean, it's fun, and it's so, and it does help you with the challenge. So it's easy to do both. There's no cost to do the challenge. There might be $10 on a small cost, I believe, to do the stock market game per team, if you're not a Title I school or something, and that may not be, I don't know, but it's nothing. I mean, and it's fun. So I would suggest doing both.
Do you have like the same kids work on the same teams?
Yeah, what I did, it could be. I mean, I always did the stock market game in my class. So let's say I had 25 kids in the class. I typically would do 3 teams of 3. Now, a lot of those kids, some of those kids might be on the actual challenge team. So they would be doing both. The rest of the kids would just be doing the stock market game.
Okay.
And so you could just do that. I mean, you could simply do that with some classes. But the other kids that want to step it up and really take it to the next level of the challenge, let them do both. I think it's so easy. It's not going to take you much time to do that at all. That's what I would do.
Yeah, on my side, it's weird. I kind of think the kids are wired differently who are in the stock market. So my investment groups, I don't know, they just like to trade. They like to see if they're smarter than everybody else, where my personal finance teams are, I don't know, kids who tend to be a little more cerebral, and they're kind of like, well, that's just a game. I don't really want to do that. So I've never had the crossover. I don't know why, but the kids who do the stock market game are never the same kids who are in the personal finance challenge.
It's interesting because I did it just to, like, it was my class, it was an activity. They would come in, they were very interested in trying to see where their team was as a group. But as I said, I always, and I started this in the fall. That's one of the very first things I do is I get them involved in investing, teach them about it, and then I have them do the own personal, and I give them $10,000 to invest. And they have some, different guidelines they have to do. And they track it all year long to the very last day of school. And then when we have a little luncheon at the end of the year group, I would give prizes out to the top investor, that kind of thing. So you're right. Those kids would do their own thing, and it was on a higher level. But the stock market game was just something fun to do. And along the way, I didn't go crazy with that group with a lot of research or anything, because it was just, a little different level kid, like you're saying, Julius. And I agree. The cerebral kids, they're the ones that want to, really get into a little bit more. So you can do it either way.
Oh, thank you.
With regard to the stock market game fees, just to address that real quickly, there are team fees for the stock market game. It's $15 for a 1 semester team and $30 for a full year team. However, if you are in a situation where you can't get funding through your school, through your PTA, or otherwise, contact us, because we do have corporate sponsorships for stock market game teams, and we do not want any kid to miss out on the opportunity because of a cost issue. So yeah, just reach out and let us know. that you're having that issue, and we'll work to find a solution for you so that you can participate.
Cool. What school are you talking about? Where are you from?
I mute myself. I'm in Salisbury, Maryland.
Salisbury.
So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
sure. I've met Julius, I don't know how long now, at a couple, I think I met you at one of the national events.
Yep.
And then, yep, the Jumpstart last year, I think the last time we saw.
Yes.
Salisbury. That's great. All right, good.
Yeah, so I'm here. I've been in the county for 17 years. I did think about this the other day, actually. I've been teaching for 18. I taught 1 year in Florida. I switched this year to out of family consumer sciences to math, and I still am teaching one section of family consumer sciences. But because of the change in the schedule, I'm still pushing, and I still need to send emails to you, Julie. I've been like a little bit busy, but I'm trying to advocate for there to be an elective personal finance class offered. So there might be an opportunity with the change in our schedules, but they do need more semester classes to put into the schedule. So that's where I'm crossing my fingers and trying to get all that stuff together for that.
Sound like another state champion in the making here, I think.
I like competition, so this is my
Oh,
I like
that's
competition. A few years ago, I have to look at the years. I had 2 students out of my class win the H&R Budget Block Challenge.
Oh, cool.
And then
Very
there was
nice.
a 3rd student that was, I had her prior to, and her dad was the accounting teacher. And so she also won. Or actually, we had 4 total. I should take it back. I had 3, and then we had the 4th one.
Very nice. Well, good luck with that. That's nice. If you need any help, again, I'll be happy to share
I'm
whatever
probably
I
going
have.
to get your information before we get off, and because especially if you're retired, because
I'm retired.
I'm not retired. I've got 4 kids, and I picked up an additional bike repair class on Mondays and Tuesdays till 8. And so I'm doing the step up. I like to kind of stack my days. So my step up is I'm going to teach all day and then do the step up from 3 to 4:30, and then I'll go to my bike repair class at 4:50 to 8.
I have 8 grandkids, so I've got that, but I'll be happy to help any way I can. So
I appreciate it. If you're available, 3:30 to 4:30, Monday and Tuesday, let me know.
I'm this. You're talking about next week,
Well, I'm
and normally
setting,
that time.
yeah, normally.
Yes.
I actually just sent out
Yes.
the I did like a little flyer, and they're posting it out. So I've got to advocate. But because I'm new at the school, a lot of people, the students don't know me, but I'm getting there. I know a lot
Well,
of
you connect with you. I'll be happy to do something. You know, my brother who retired about 5 says every day Saturday, he says when you're retired. So Monday and Tuesday works fine. So that's all good. No problem.
Terrific. Does anyone else have any questions we can answer for you?
I just want to say thank you. It was a great session. Wow, I learned a lot. It'll be interesting to have my students live and in person again at some point. I can get eyeball to eyeball and know who's going to be a competitor. So I'm looking forward to it.
Where's your school?
I'm at Springbrook High School. We're in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Oh, football school.
Well, years ago, if you remember the coach, Mike Malloy.
I remember Springbrook really well. I used to be a sports writer for the Sun paper years ago.
Okay.
Long time ago. They were great.
So he retired and he went to Good Counsel High School in what used to be Wheaton, which is now in Olney. And he left and went there. But yes, can't think of his first name. Last name was Malloy.
Bob Malloy.
Bob,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
It's a good team. Well, again, if you need any help, I'd be happy to help in any way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. And how will we reach you guys?
Julie can give you all the contact information,
Yep.
phone, cell, email, whatever you need.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll send the presentation around.
Okay.
We're also going to post this video on our YouTube channel, so you can come back to it. In the email I send out, I'll include Julius and Mike's information if you're good with that.
I'm fine with it.
The links to see some of the students who've participated in the program talking about it, so that you can share that with your students and hopefully get them energized about the program and how much fun it is.
Absolutely. It's
Great.
wonderful. Cool.
Awesome. Terrific. Well, great. Thank you all for being here tonight. I know you're exhausted, and we're just so grateful that you are doing such a wonderful job with the kids in the classroom every day. and still taking time out to work on extra things to help them in their lives as well. So you're our heroes, and anything we can do to support you, we want to do. So stay in touch with us and let us know how we can help. So thanks so much.
Everybody.
Yep, you're welcome.
Great. With that, I'll end the meeting if anybody doesn't have any final thoughts.
We're good, I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Mike. Thanks, Julius.
Bye.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.